Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a really interesting source. It's a case study, maybe a blog post, basically detailing a real-world test of the Evadav Ed network. And specifically for that, let's be honest, notoriously tricky type of traffic iGaming.
Yeah, absolutely. And our mission here really is to cut through the noise. We want to pull out the core insights, the key data points, the big takeaways from this team's actual experience.
Right.
We need to understand how they tackled this really competitive iGaming ad space using this specific platform, Evadav. And, crucially, how they managed to find a path not just to clicks, but to actual significant measurable profit.
Exactly, because the source kicks off with this challenge that I think anyone in this space can relate to. They talk about getting consistent results with iGaming traffic, often feeling like, and this is their quote, playing roulette with your money.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Lots of promises.
So many networks promise you the moon, right? But then deliver traffic that just doesn't convert.
Right. Low quality.
But the hint here, right up front in the source, is that they found a way past that inconsistency. They found something more, solid. And yeah, they dropped this number pretty early on. A specific campaign hitting a, frankly, remarkable 325% ROI.
Wow.
So we're going to dig into how they actually manage that.
Okay, so let's follow their story then. Setting the scene. They start by outlining this struggle, this feeling of uncertainty, Spending cash on traffic that just evaporates, doesn't turn into conversions. And they explicitly say that after months of testing different sources, so, they'd been around the block a bit.
Right. They weren't newbies.
No. They decided, okay, let's put Evadav Traffic Group to the test. Properly.
Okay. Sounds like they'd done their homework, maybe got burned before. So who is Evadav Traffic Group? What did the source say about them?
Well, the detail that jumps out is they were founded way back in 2007. And crucially, by affiliate marketers themselves. The source really emphasizes this. Says it meant they actually understood the game, from the inside. That's 18 years in performance advertising. And they claim a pretty big audience relevant to iGaming, over 30 million users they classify as high-paying.
30 million. Okay, that's substantial.
And what's kind of interesting about their structure, as the source highlights it, and how they've expanded beyond just multiple divisions now. There's Evadav Performance, Evadav Apps, Evadav Search Arbitrage, even an Evadav Academy.
An academy, okay.
Yeah. And the argument the source makes is that this multi-pronged setup gives them a deeper multi-angle view on traffic dynamics.
Yeah.
They're not just looking at it from the ad network publisher side.
Right. They see the whole ecosystem. Makes sense. Okay, so with that context, let's get into the actual test. How did this team set it up? The source mentioned a 30-day experiment, right?
Yep, a clear 30-day test. And they detail their starting point, an initial investment of $2,500.
Okay, $2,500. How did they spread that?
Strategically, it seems, across 3 different offer types within iGaming.
Which makes sense. And those verticals were online casino, sports betting, poker, the usual suspect.
Exactly, the big 3 for iGaming.
Yeah.
And geographically, their main targets, the geos, were Brazil, India, and Thailand.
Okay. Interesting mix of emerging markets and ad formats.
They focused on 3 main ones: push notifications, pop under, and in-page push.
Right.
And a little practical detail the source seemed to really appreciate was the platform's ultra-fast moderation. They clocked it at 2 to 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. That is fast.
Yeah, and they said it significantly sped up their testing,
Yeah.
Allow them to make changes much faster.
That speed, yeah, that sounds crucial when you're trying to iterate quickly. Okay, so they're set up, campaigns are live. What happened in those first couple of weeks? Was it instant success?
Not entirely, according to the source. They described the start as mixed, as expected, which, feels pretty honest for testing new traffic.
Totally. Realistic.
But even in those first 2 weeks, some of the initial numbers were quite telling, especially when they compared them to what the source calls typical industry averages for iGaming.
Okay, interesting. So what did those early metrics look like?
Well, the click-through rate, the CTR, week 1 was 1.8%, and it climbed to 2.4% in week 2. Now, the source notes this was way higher than the sort of 0.5% to 1% industry average they usually see.
Okay, significantly better engagement right off the bat.
Yeah. And conversion rates look promising early, too, 3.2% in week 1 and 4.1% in week 2. Again, compared to an industry average they put at 2-3%.
Higher conversions, too. What about costs? CPM?
Actually lower. Week 1 CPM was $0.85. Week 2 was $0.92. and they compared that to a $1.20 industry average.
Huh. So better engagement, better initial conversions, and lower cost per impression.
Seems like it, yeah, even early on.
And the source mentioned that even at this early stage, the targeting options started showing their value. Things like carrier, subscription age, device type. Can you just quickly unpack carrier and subscription age targeting? Why are they useful here?
Good question. So carrier targeting lets you target users based on their mobile network provider, like Vodafone or AT&T or whatever's local. Sometimes certain carriers just have higher quality users or maybe better connection speeds, things like that.
Okay.
And subscription age, that's about how long a user has been opted in to get push notifications or been on an ad list. The source implies this was really key for filtering out, maybe newer, less engaged, or potentially even bot traffic. Help them focus spend on segments that seemed more promising.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense why those granular details matter. So the first couple of weeks showed promise. What happened when they moved into weeks 3 and 4? Did things accelerate?
Yeah, this is where the source says things got interesting. The numbers started climbing, quote, dramatically. This is the optimization phase where they took those early learnings and really honed things.
And this is where that big 325% ROI number pops up, right? Which specific campaign was that?
Exactly. They singled out their absolute best performing campaign during this period. It was an online casino offer targeted specifically at Brazil and run using push notifications.
Okay, Brazil casino on push. What were the exact numbers for just that one campaign?
Pretty striking. Yeah. Total spend on it was $847.
Right.
That single campaign generated $2,758 in revenue.
Wow.
Which left them with a net profit of $1,911 just from that one specific campaign slice.
Turning $847 into nearly $2,000 profit. That 325% ROI is, it's impressive. Did the source have a theory on why that particular combination Brazil casino push worked so incredibly well?
They did. They put it down to mainly two things. First, leveraging what they call Evadav's exclusive traffic sources.
Meaning traffic you couldn't easily get elsewhere.
That's the implication.
Yeah.
Access to user pools others might not have. And second, their sophisticated audience segmentation. Specifically, they were able to target users who had already shown some kind of clear engagement or interest in casino content, not just broad gambling interest, much more refined.
Okay, so it wasn't just luck, it was targeted. So the big question then is, why? Why did Evadav's traffic actually convert for iGaming here when this team apparently struggled elsewhere? What were the key factors they identified?
They broke it down into a few core reasons. The first one they really stressed was what they called a genuine iGaming-friendly approach.
Meaning more than just tolerating gambling ads, like they actually get it.
Precisely. You know how some platforms can be really unpredictable with gambling policies? Sudden bans, campaigns pulled down.
Oh yeah, nightmare fuel for affiliates.
Right. The source says Evadav actively supports iGaming advertisers. They understand the nuances, they offer guidance, and crucially, they noted they had consistent access without those sudden frustrating policy shifts or account blocks that plague the industry.
That stability alone sounds like gold dust. Okay, what was factor number 2?
They pointed to a premium publisher network. Now, sure, the platform boasts huge scale, like 3 billion daily impressions, 250-plus countries, all that. But the source stressed it wasn't just volume, it was quality. They talked up the publisher vetting process, and they even shared some quality metrics from their own campaigns on the network.
Oh, like what?
Like 95% viewability, an average CTR across all formats of 4%, which they pointed out is like 4 times higher than email marketing.
Oh, okay.
And a really high chunk, 85% of their traffic came from Tier 1 and Tier 2 geos. So quality sources.
Okay. Supportive policies, quality placements. And the third big factor was targeting, you said.
Advanced targeting, that actually works.
Okay.
That's how they put it. They contrasted Evadav's precision with the sort of basic geo-device targeting you find lots of places.
Right.
They specifically listed the granular options that were game changers for them. Carrier, subscription age, browser language, connection type.
We touched on carrier and sub-age.
Yeah.
Why browser language and connection type?
Well, browser language helps ensure your ads match the user's preferred language, obviously boosting relevance. Connection type, like targeting Wi-Fi versus mobile data, can sometimes correlate with user quality or behavior. The point was, these granular options let them slash wasted spend. They could define their audience really precisely and focus budget only on the segments most likely to actually convert, not just spraying and praying.
That makes a ton of sense, especially for something as specific and competitive as iGaming. Okay, let's break down how the ad formats performed individually in their test. They called push notifications the conversion king.
They definitely did. Push delivered the highest ROI overall in their test. Especially good for casino offers and even better for offers with some urgency, bonus in soon type stuff.
Right, makes sense for push.
And they even shared their winning formula for push creatives. Build an urgency, state a specific bonus amount, use localized currency and language crucial, and have an attractive little profile image with the notification.
Practical tips there. What were the performance highlights for push?
Pretty strong. Average CTR of 3.8%, conversion rate of 6.2%. And get this, in Brazil, their push CTR hit 8.1%.
8% CTR on push in Brazil. That's huge.
Okay, what about Popender ads?
Pops didn't hit those crazy CTRs, obviously, but the source described them as a reliable volume driver.
Okay, so scale over precision.
Kinda, yeah. They found Pops ideal for broader awareness. Think new casino launches, promoting sports betting during big tournaments, pushing really high-value bonuses where you just need eyeballs and screen real estate. It drives volume.
Got it. And the third format, in-page push.
Ah, yeah. They had a nickname for this one. iOS Traffic Gold.
iOS Traffic Gold. Why?
Because this format was essential for reaching iOS users, especially in places where standard push notifications are trickier on Apple devices due to restrictions.
Right, the Apple walled garden.
Exactly. And they noted that in-page push actually delivered a 25% higher CTR compared to standard push for them. So a really valuable source of premium traffic, especially if you're targeting markets with lots of iOS users. Interesting. Okay, shifting gears to the geographic performance. It sounds like a key theme was the platform's strength in those emerging markets they tested. Brazil was the clear standout, you said.
Absolutely. Brazil was dubbed the conversion champion in their test.
Yeah.
Traffic from there just converted incredibly well across the board. Sports betting hit a 12.3% conversion rate.
12%. Wow.
Yeah, and online casino was 8.7%. They also saw a solid average deposit value, around $67 from Brazilian users. The source chucked it up to things like a big mobile-first audience and just growing acceptance of online gambling in Brazil generally.
Makes sense. How did India shape up in comparison?
India provided volume with optimization needs. That was the phrase. So lots of traffic available, but it needed more careful work to find the quality pockets.
How to do that?
Carrier targeting was apparently essential for filtering in India. And using regional language creatives gave them a huge boost, like 40% better performance. Push notifications still did well there, though, engagement-wise, with a 4.2% CTR. So high potential, just needed more fine-tuning than Brazil.
Okay. And the third one, Thailand.
Thailand showed premium market potential. They saw higher average deposit values there, which is obviously attractive.
Sounds like there's a but.
Yeah, the source cautioned that Thailand required particularly careful, compliance-focused ad creatives.
Yeah.
You had to really navigate the specific market regulations carefully to succeed there. So premium, but maybe a bit trickier operationally.
Got it. Okay, so beyond the traffic itself, the source seemed pretty impressed with the tech side of Evadav, too. What technical bits did they highlight as being important advantages?
Yeah, several things. They mentioned the real-time bidding engine, the RTB. Said it processed over 2 billion events daily with like 99.9% accuracy.
Which in plain English means?
Means your bids get into the right auctions super fast and reliably. It just makes the whole campaign buying process more efficient, which ultimately helps performance.
Right. And fraud protection. Always huge in this space.
Crucial.
Yeah.
And they gave it high marks. Highlighted the platform's AI-powered anti-fraud system, their actual experience during the 30-day test. They saw virtually no click fraud or bot traffic.
Virtually none. That's a big claim.
It is. And if true, that's a massive relief and cost saver for any advertiser, especially in iGaming where bots can run rampant.
Definitely. And what about tracking integration? That must have been key for their optimization.
Absolutely. They mentioned seamless integration with trackers, specifically name-checking volume. This allowed for real-time cost syncing and automated optimization rules based on conversions. And the data updated quickly every 15 minutes, they said.
Every 15 minutes? Wow.
Yeah, which means you can react really fast, see a campaign tanking, pause it, see one flying, scale it up. That speed is essential for maximizing ROI when things change quickly.
Makes sense. The source also touched briefly on revenue models, right? CPC, CPM. Which did they prefer?
They noted that while, yes, CPC, cost per click, and CPM, cost per impression, are available, they found the CPA model, cost per acquisition, worked out best for them, especially when they negotiated private CPA terms for their best converting offers.
Ah, okay. So getting a fixed price per sign-up or deposit.
Exactly. Most profitable for them. And they also had good things to say about the support team. Described it as going beyond basic help.
Like how?
Personalized recommendations, creative suggestions, detailed weekly reports, even direct contact via Telegram with their account managers. And quick responses, too, under 2 hours on average.
Yeah.
That kind of hands-on support can really make a difference.
Yeah, that sounds really valuable. Okay, let's zoom out again, the big picture. That entire 30-day test, starting with the $2,500 investment, what were the total overall results the source reported?
The grand totals were pretty compelling. Across everything they ran in that month, they generated $7,240 in revenue from the initial $2,500 spent.
Okay, so what's the net profit there?
That worked out to a net profit of $4,740 over just 30 days.
Wow. Over $4,500 profit from a $2,500 test budget in 1 month. That's pretty good. What was the average ROI across the whole test?
The average ROI for the entire test period came out at 289%.
289% average ROI. Impressive.
And they calculated their average payback period. How long it took to earn back their initial investment through profit was just 12 days.
So the money started working for them pretty quickly. Beyond the pure financials, were there other operational benefits they noted, like day-to-day stuff?
Yeah, they listed a few important practical things. 0 compliance issues during the whole test. No sudden account restrictions, which, as we said, is a huge headache avoided.
Definitely.
Consistent traffic quality once they got things optimized. And they felt the platform's infrastructure was scalable, meaning they were confident they could ramp up their spending if needed.
Okay, sounds overwhelmingly positive. But to be balanced, the source did point out some limitations, right? No platform's perfect. What were the downsides or areas for improvement they mentioned?
Good point. Got to have balance. They did raise a few things. One was geographic coverage gaps. They found inventory for gambling offers was a bit limited in some specific Tier 1 geos, namely Germany and the UK.
Ah, okay. So if you only target Germany or the UK for iGaming, maybe not the primary source.
Potentially, yeah. Something to be aware of. They also mentioned the creative requirements for push notifications. That specific 192 by 192 pixel icon size sometimes felt a bit restrictive for their designs.
Minor annoyance, maybe?
Seemed like it, yeah. And finally, minimum spend thresholds. The minimum deposit is only $100, which is reasonable, but they felt the daily budget needed to really test effectively might be a hurdle for very small affiliates just dipping their toes in with super limited funds. You need some budget to gather enough data.
Right, you need enough spend to see patterns. Okay, so weighing all that, the big wins, the couple limitations, the features, what was the final verdict from the source on Evadav traffic group for iGaming?
Their bottom line was pretty clear and positive. They stated that Evadav traffic group, quote, delivers on its promises for iGaming. They felt the mix of industry know-how, quality traffic, and the tech platform created an environment where you could genuinely build and scale profitable campaigns.
And based on their own success, what were their key recommendations for other iGaming folks looking to try it out?
Their advice, straight from their playbook, was start with push notifications, best bet for fast ROI, especially time-sensitive stuff. Focus initial tests on emerging markets like Brazil, India, Thailand, where they saw the best results. Crucially, use those advanced targeting options carrier, sub-A's right from day one to filter effectively.
Don't wait to optimize targeting.
Exactly. Test multiple creatives, obviously, and keep close communication with the account managers. They found that support really valuable.
Okay. And that headline, 325% ROI campaign, their final thought wasn't that it was just a lucky break?
No, they were pretty clear on that. They believed that 325% ROI wasn't a fluke. They concluded it came directly from Evadav's systematic approach. The traffic quality, the optimization tools. They saw it as providing a, quote, legitimate path to profitable campaigns for iGaming advertisers, especially those maybe struggling with restrictions on the big platforms like Facebook and Google.
You know, reflecting on this, just digging into this one single source, it's amazing how much practical detail you can pull out about this specific niche, iGaming ads, and this one platform. The level of detail they shared, setup, metrics, the why behind it really paints a vivid picture.
It really does. And thinking about how critical those seemingly small targeting options were, like subscription age and carrier targeting, how much the source said they mattered for cutting waste and finding converters, really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Like, right.
Well, what other maybe less obvious audience segmentation factors beyond the usual demographics or interests might be the absolute key to unlocking success in totally different online advertising verticals? What are the hidden levers we're not always thinking about?
That is a great question to mull over. The hidden levers of targeting. Fascinating. And hey, for anyone listening whose interest was piqued by this test, the source did mention Evadav has a new advertiser bonus program. Said you can get up to $1,000 in ad credits based on your initial spend.
Ah, so a potential way to test the waters yourself, maybe applying some of these lessons we just discussed.
Exactly. Could be worth checking out. All right, another deep dive complete.